What is biodiversity? Biodiversity is all different kinds of life you'll find in one area. The variety of animals, plants, fungi, and even microorganisms like bacteria that make up our natural world. Each of these species and organisms work together in ecosystems, like an intricate web to maintain balance and support life. Biodiversity supports everything in nature that we need: food, clean water, medicine, and shelter. But as humans put increasing pressure on the planet, using and consuming more resources than ever before, we risk upsetting the balance of ecosystem and losing biodiversity. WWF's 2018 Living Planet report found an average 60% decline in global populations of mammals, fish, birds, reptiles, and amphibians since 1970. The 2019 landmark Global Assessment Report by the Intergovernmental Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services reported 1 million animal and plant species are now threatened with extinction, the highest number in human history. 3/4 of land-based environment and roughly 66% of ocean's environment have been significantly altered. More than a third of world's land surface and nearly 75% freshwater resources are now devoted to crop or livestock production. Climate change worsened the impact of other stressors on nature and our well-being. Humans have overfished the oceans, cleared forests, polluted our water, and created climate crisis. These actions are impacting biodiversity around the world, from the most remote locals to our own backyards. Animal extinction. Human beings have existed for just 200 years, yet our impact on the planet is so great that scientists around the world are calling for our period in the Earth history to be named the Anthropocene, the age of humans. The sixth mass extinction. Habitat destruction. Damaging human activity continues to encroach on natural environments, thereby destroying the habitats of countless species. As our number rise, cities and industrial areas are growing and merging into each other, fragmenting the remaining habitat and leaving isolated islands of natural populations of plants and animals too small to survive. According to IPBES, only 1/4 of land areas and 1/3 of ocean remains relatively undamaged by human activities. Overexploitation. Humankind's relentless consumption of resources such as timber, oil, and minerals is continuing to destroy natural habitats around the globe. We are also putting enormous pressure on population of wild species, both by bush hunting in the developing world and large-scale industrial fishing in our seas. Wildlife poaching and trafficking still present a huge threat to many species, including rhinos, tigers, and pangolins. Agricultural intensification. In order to meet the unsustainable consumption patterns of the developed world and feed the numbers of people living on Earth today, humanity has developed agricultural systems which rely on monocultures, artificial fertilizers, and pesticides. Monocultures are increasingly susceptible to disease. Widespread pesticide use destroys insect population indiscriminately. In addition, the growing pressure on food supplies means an increasing proportion of agricultural land is farmed intensively, with fewer off-seasons or fallow years in which to recover. Currently, livestock farming contributes to more climate emissions than the entire transport sector and is the biggest cause of deforestation. Runoff from farms pollutes water bodies and causes harmful algal blooms and the collapse of fish stocks. Climate change. Our planet is on the verge of climate crisis due to our endless production of greenhouse gases, including carbon dioxide and methane. We are headed for a 3 to 4 degrees Celsius warmer world by the end of the century if nations' current climate ambitions are delivered on. We are already seeing species decline due to global temperature increase. Every half a degree of warming has a huge knock-off on ecosystems, with mobile species running out of areas to migrate to, and temperature-sensitive organisms like corals undergoing massive die-offs. When the keystone species like reef-building corals disappear, the rich and complex ecosystem they support collapse as well. Pollution. Ever more people produce ever more waste and pollution. As the pollutions increase, the disposal of waste from households, agriculture, and industry becomes an increasingly serious issue. Our oceans are becoming choked with plastic waste, which is killing millions of animals from sea turtles to whales. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation estimates that by 2050, there will be more plastics than fish in the sea, as well as affecting the lives of humans. Noise, light, and chemical pollutions all damage the health of wild species. All the species plays a major role in our environment, so we must protect them in order to conserve our environment. Because of industry, agriculture, and fossil fuel use, carbon dioxide in the air is at its highest level for millions of years. At the same time, disruption of other chemical cycles is turning seas and rivers into dead zones. Climate change is already affecting the world around us. Global warming is causing glaciers to melt, sea levels to rise, species to go extinct, and severe water events such as floods, droughts, and hurricanes to increase. 200 years ago, there were less than a billion people on Earth. Today, we are 7.8 billion and our population is still growing. According to United Nations, unless we take action, there is likely to be 30% more of us by 2050 and 11 billion people by 2100. Every one of us places demands upon our planet, the very demands that have caused the changes that threatened us and the natural world we depend on. We can and must ease the pressure on our world. As individuals and communities, we can take actions such as buying less, reusing, and recycling more, moving towards plant-based diet, and ensuring what we do use and consume is as sustainable as possible. Above all, we can choose to have smaller families. As long as our numbers are growing, the value of every other action we take risk being cancelled out by demands and needs of new people joining the population. And sustainable global population growth is not inevitable. United Nations projections show that if we start taking action now, we can end it and actually start bringing our numbers down to a more sustainable level within the next few decades. Here's what we need to do. Empower women worldwide with freedom to choose their family size through education, social change, and economic development. Give people the help they need to lift themselves out of poverty. Ensure everyone can access and use modern family planning. Challenge beliefs and social norms which encourage large families and oppose contraception. Encourage people to have smaller families wherever they have the choice to. On the other hand, saving other species, we must clean our environment first. We need to minimize throwing our garbage and start planting trees. Humans are responsible for everything, so we must find ways to save our Mother Earth.